My name is Joe Peroni, and this is the Rise Above Project. And today I want to unravel the masculinity of Trump supporters. Many men are drawn to Donald Trump. They think he's a strong leader who embodies their ideal of what power and certainty is. But why would this be? Number one, let's talk about that they have this psychological need for belonging and identity reinforcement. So what does this mean exactly? It means that they hold Donald Trump in this high regard, and he has that identity that they want, right? This rich, powerful guy that doesn't have to act decent to anybody, that can be rude, mean, crude, and everything, and still get what he wants. And they want to belong to that club. But as we unravel what masculinity actually is that masculinity? Because it's actually the exact opposite. Because this goes against everything in terms of wanting to be a rugged, strong, individualistic person who has their own mind. Because if they're willing to do anything to be part of this club, and they're willing to do anything to have this identity, and they don't want to see outside of that, what in that makes them an autonomous human being? Because we're told that these conservative people believe in this rugged individualism, but it's nothing of the sort. Conservatism basically is people having the same thought and being tied or being in concrete in terms of what they see and what they say. If you talk to one of them, you've talked to all of them. They keep saying the same things. Also, how in the world do these people look at somebody like Donald Trump as being masculine? A guy like this wears a lot of, let's be honest, he wears a lot of makeup. J.D. Vance, vice president, he wears eyeliner. So you're looking at guys that probably spend more time on their makeup than most women do. Like, I can't even imagine in my life over the years a woman looking at me, and let's say I was putting on makeup and eyeliner and these types of things, would they look at me like I'm a masculine guy? So what would it take in these supposed alpha guys that they're looking at men who are extremely feminine and don't exude any masculine traits, and yet they're still wanting to be part of that crowd? And again, if you're trying to be masculine, and that's the big reason for liking Donald Trump, bowing and being subordinate and being submissive to another man is not what an alpha man does. But yet these people do it all the time. Let's take a look at Ted Cruz, for example. So Ted Cruz from Texas, he actually, he doesn't say one negative thing about Donald Trump. Like, he loves Donald Trump. He goes along with him. And yet, Donald Trump has made fun of his wife, called her ugly. And what does Ted Cruz do? Nothing. You tell me what masculine man would be okay with another man brutalizing and verbally just destroying and saying that she's ugly, and the man doesn't do anything, doesn't defend her in any way? This is not masculine behaviors. It's not even close. I don't understand it. Congress is filled with people who have been mocked by Donald Trump and who have been hurt by Donald Trump, and yet they support him. What's masculine about that? Now, when we look at the Republican Party, you can't look at it as a bunch of individuals. There's only really one voice that's talking, right? And so, again, where is the individualistic nature of a masculine man? It's not in the Republican Party. I'm not seeing it. The United States is filled with people who have been hurt by Donald Trump and his policies, and yet they still support him. Let's take a look at a large percentage of people who would vote for Donald Trump. We're looking at white men who are poor, right, who live in rural areas. Right now in rural areas, hospitals are closing. If you're a man and you consider yourself to be a masculine man, why are you okay with another guy putting you and your family at risk? Because closing hospitals is obviously not a good thing. Ending the Affordable Health Care Act for about, I think it's like 12 million people or so, how is that something that you're okay with? It puts your family and you in danger, and you don't fight back on that? If you're in a rural area, you're very likely to need some type of government assistance. Donald Trump is subtracting that from people, taking away food stamps, things like this. If you're a masculine guy, what happened to your spine? Why do you not fight back? Again, being subordinate, being submissive, allowing another man to say whatever he's going to say and you just go along with it just because you want to be part of the in crowd, that's not masculine. It's not even close to being that. Donald Trump himself, does he even exude masculine behaviors? Well, if you think he does, you're not masculine. So let's go over some of that. He never takes responsibility for anything, never holds himself accountable for anything. The only time that you might find him taking responsibility for something is when somebody else has done something good and he tries to say that he's the one who did it. That's about it. He's never stoic. And we can talk about Roman philosophy, we can talk about ancient Greek philosophy, we can go through throughout antiquity of what are expected of men in terms of stoicism and being strong. He doesn't exude any of those qualities, none. So this is like a new form of masculinity that the Trump supporters have. It's called not being masculine. Donald Trump doesn't work out, doesn't care about his body. We can go back to Socrates. It's saying a sound mind and a sound body. Does he even care about that? Not even close. I mean, I know he's old, okay, just he's old, so he's not going to be in great shape. But he doesn't care about working out. He doesn't care about eating good food. He eats garbage. I mean, the men's Olympic hockey team, whoever was champion, goes to the White House and he feeds them hamburgers from Burger King or McDonald's or something like that. I mean, the guy's an absolute joke when it comes to masculinity. Let's be honest about it. He lies, he cheats, he steals. None of that's masculine. Let's talk about independence. You want to be a man, you got to be independent. He's not independent. His daddy gave him $411 million. That's what he inherited when his father died. But don't let it fool you, that's not when he gained all that, just that money. He was a multimillionaire as a child because his father would try to reroute money to avoid taxes. And so Donald Trump was a multimillionaire by the time he was 5 years old. And again, getting into real estate, it was his father's real estate business. And by the way, he got arrested at a KKK meeting. So that'll tell you where Donald Trump's mind exists. So none of this exudes masculinity. So if you pride yourself on being masculine, you cannot be trying to get membership into this so-called group by submitting and being less of a man. Let me be a little more clear with that. Do you remember these Trump supporters that said, oh, I like Donald Trump because he's going to help the middle class? And then he put tariffs on everybody, meaning that it's a regressive tax. So it's basically a tax because everybody has to pay more money. But if you make middle class money or you're on the poor end of things, you're going to pay by percentage, you're paying more taxes than a rich person. So how did he help you? But I don't see you Republican masculine men in a cult. I don't see you complaining because you're on your knees to Donald Trump. Again, that's not masculine, that's not alpha. How many things does he have to do to you for you to stand up for yourself? Not standing up for yourself, that's not masculine. Remember when people wanted to vote for Donald Trump because he wanted to drain the swamp, get rid of all the corruption, and yet pretty much everybody in his cabinet has gone to jail, and he should be in jail too? Have you seen that if he's not a pedophile, which there's a lot of good evidence saying that Donald Trump is a pedophile, he's covering up for pedophiles, that's for sure. Does that bother you now? I thought you wanted to drain the swamp. You put the swamp in there, and now you're okay with it. Now, if you feel like you made a mistake, then you're allowed to drop your support. But you're not doing that. And so again, a masculine man knows how to look at information, and they can accommodate their brain, right? Or assimilate new information into their brain, and to be able to make changes, and to be able to move and be nuanced, and not be locked into one way of thinking. Okay, what you're doing is not masculine. It's not even feminine either, because I don't want to say that. But I don't know what it is. It's just, it's pathetic, is what it is. If you want to call yourself a masculine person, you cannot rely on an authority figure, which you're obviously doing. This whole anti-war thing, just today, it's like we started another war. And the crazy thing is, it's like all these male Trump supporters are going to say, oh, I love war now. Before I was anti-war, but my Lord and Savior, my authority figure, Donald Trump, is starting a war almost every week now. Now I love war. I'm all about it. Like, he goes and attacks Venezuela, gets rid of their leader, president, prime minister, whoever. And it's like, how did that affect you? Like, did that make your life any better? So he wants to steal the oil. Then he goes and gets an offshore account and puts the money there for him. It doesn't give you any money. Remember the Doge? Okay, we were supposed to get a Doge check. Where is it? We're supposed to get a check from the tariffs that were deemed illegal, by the way. Where is your tariff check? None of that. Because he is completely corrupt, and he's using the presidency of the United States for his own financial gain, for him and his family. I thought you were against that, but you're not masculine. That's the thing. You don't know how to change your mind and stand up. Part of this Trump masculinity is that they're completely self-blind. They don't know what their issues are, and they overlook their own flaws. Now, okay, that's bad enough. But what is special to the Trump supporter here? Not only do they overlook their own flaws, but they try to hurt other people and blame other people for their problems. So let's say they have a flaw. What they do is they blame everybody else, right? This is why if you ask a Trump supporter, like, okay, what is he actually doing that you are still, standing by his side? And they'll name something like, oh, it's deporting people. Okay, like, why is deporting people helping your life? I mean, we could do this on another show, but that's actually making America worse. And if you're going to say that it's the crime, I'm going to tell you you're on your knees again to Donald Trump, because crime has been falling since about the early 1990s. So why do you listen to a guy that never tells the truth and you don't do any fact checking on it? Or you just have no knowledge, or you think you're smart now? Just like Donald Trump said, I love the uneducated, I love the stupid. There's a reason for that. Because you listen to what he says, and he says it with such certainty that you believe it. And yet, none of it's true. An undocumented immigrant is 250 times, I was going to say 15, but it's 250 times by percentage points less to have committed a crime or will be committing a crime. Said in a different way, American-born citizens are 250% more likely to commit a crime. Okay, did you hear that? Because that's a fact. Now that you know the fact, can you think differently? Probably not. What's going to happen is that you're going to figure out a way to justify your Lord and Savior, your cult leader, Donald Trump, because you're not masculine. You don't know how to look at facts. You don't know how to make opinions based off of truth and logic and reasoning. Again, when we look at Donald Trump, he is extremely and highly emotional. Now, when you talk to a lot of these Trump supporters, they like to put down women, right? And they'll say things like, women are so emotional, what if they were on their period? And there's no way that they could lead. Okay, here's the thing. Listen up. Men kill themselves at 4 times the rate of women. 92% of people in jail are men. By percentage, there's more alcoholics and drug addicts that are men. You want to talk about drunk driving? Most of them are men. All of those are very clear indicators that men cannot handle their emotions. So tell me why you think that women are more emotional or can't handle their emotions compared to men. So when you see Donald Trump, again, the whining, the crying, the complaining, waving his arms, just complete grievances all the time. Oh my God, this person hurt me, this person hurt me. And all you have to do is have somebody compliment him, and he just melts like butter because he's just so craving the attention. Again, emotional to the core. There is nothing that's masculine about that. Nothing. If you want to talk about masculinity, it's nice to get a compliment. But if you don't, who cares? If somebody compliments you, they should be confirming what you already know. When you're Donald Trump and the people who love Donald Trump, they are moved by things like that. That's why Donald Trump is such a flat-out child. That's why he can be manipulated all over the place by someone saying a nice word. Because he's a flat-out baby. Again, there's no masculinity in that. Let me finish this up because it's 17 minutes. I could do this all day because it's as a human and as a man and as a therapist, it's amazing what you see every day. All of these men completely tearing up and burning their man cards to be aligned with this guy that shows no masculine traits whatsoever. They surrender their autonomy. They surrender their individualism. They surrender their ability to take care of their families. They surrender their ability at least to talk back against some of the negative things that were done to them and their families. All this so they could follow a guy that has no care about being a strong human being, doesn't work out, never worked out, doesn't eat good, wears makeup, treats people poorly, doesn't know how to take responsibility for anything. And you're going to follow that? So I might have been a little bit rough on the guys today. So let me throw in something here about the women. You know, it's really interesting. There are a group of women in this country who love people like Donald Trump because they're looking for certainty. They're looking to get taken care of. They're looking for stability. And when somebody lies, but they lie from their full chest, and they don't even quiver a little bit. They just look you right in the eye and just lie. It feels good to a lot of women like that because it feels like certainty. It feels like the truth. And they like to be around a guy like that. But let me tell you, real men should be, let's say, judged on their values and virtues, which Trump has none. Also, the more intelligent you are, the more you're going to be uncertain about what you're saying. And the reason for that is because there's a lot of information out there, and typically nothing is 100%. There's always something on the other side that could happen, and there's always new information coming in. So if somebody says, I know everything, I'm the only one who knows the answer, that person is a jerk. They're not educated, because if you were educated, you would know that there's a lot of nuance in it. But there's a lot of women out there that don't seem to understand that. They like to be around what they think is a tough guy. And they also think that toughness or strength has something to do with being angry, being a jerk, being rude, being disagreeable. But none of those are masculine. And they end up putting up with guys like this. And a lot of times they put up with it. Sometimes some women don't put up with it because the guy has a lot of money, or they have a lot of power. And they just kind of roll with it. And these are the pick-me girls of the world, that they just feel comfortable about being around some rich, powerful guy, even if he's the biggest jerk in the world. I mean, listen, there's plenty of Eva Brauns in the world. And if you don't know who Eva Braun is, she was married to Hitler. So there's plenty of women behind the scenes that are going to support men like this because they want to be on the side that they think, quote unquote, is winning, or the side that can cause damage to others, or that they can be malicious to others and not have a penalty back to them. And so, yes, that women do gravitate towards that, but those aren't good women either. So let's unravel this whole Trump masculinity thing, because there isn't any masculinity. And the women that are in this situation too, they're very, very traumatized people that don't know how to stand up on their own, and they do not understand what value, virtue, and if you're married, they don't understand vows, and they just don't understand what true masculinity is. My name is Joe Peroni. This is the Rise Above Project. Please subscribe and tell a friend. Thank you.